Well, greetings, SIE test takers. This is the Series 7 guru coming to you from my studio here in fabulous Las Vegas with some practice questions, aka I also call them, also known as performance opportunities. I like to put up practice questions whenever I'm teaching a public class. So it's kind of a nudge. I teach the SIEs a public class usually once a quarter. And so this is the installment representing that class coming up. I highly recommend you don't do practice questions or performance opportunities until you lay the proper base. You shouldn't be jumping into questions. So that means reading the book on options, your chapters on that. That means watching the videos. I will post the first video in a sequence of 2 or 3. I have a whole thing on that for you to do. So you can watch those videos. In terms of these performance opportunities, hit pause, try and answer, and then hit play and see how you did. Here, I'm not trying to give you calculations, break even, max gain, max loss. I have a separate SIE options video for that. What I'm trying to do here is get you comfortable with some answer sets I think you might encounter on your actual exam once you get comfortable with those answer sets. In fact, that's even more important to me in this exercise than whether or not you get the right answer. Again, they're performance opportunities or practice questions. I have people who do well on these practice questions and feel really good. Oh, I'm going to pass. No, this is not for you to do a mark or intellectual inventory. If you want to do that, you should take a practice exam, and a practice test or exam will give you an idea of where you stand in terms of a mark to the actual exam. There are 4 of them in the SIE playlist. So that's what you should be doing to inventory your skills and getting a mark. This is just for practice, drilling and rehearsing. Okay, that being said, let's get started. I want you to get real comfortable with this answer set, real comfortable with this answer set. We have 2 types of contracts, calls and puts. You can either buy them or sell them. And so that means we have 4 basic option positions. So which of the following positions is an obligation? So when you hear obligation, you should be thinking short, seller, writer. And so it's either going to be B or D. So an obligation to sell, that means somebody can call the stock away from you. Somebody can call the stock away from you. So that is going to be B. A short call. Again, I like you to get comfortable with that answer set. This answer set is actually the most important thing for you to kind of get down as a test taker. There are 2 types of contracts, calls and puts. You can either buy them or sell them. And so we have 4 basic option positions. I don't know if it's helpful. I think of the person who's short the option contract as a potential victim. So, if you get exercised here, you're going to be delivering the stock at the strike price, which is going to be less than the market price. Which of the following orders would be used to establish or add to? And again, it's mainly about this answer set and getting comfortable with this. Now, once you hear use to establish or add to, it's going to be an opening transaction. It's going to be an opening transaction. And if what you're trying to do is establish a short position and create either an obligation to let somebody call the stock away from you or an obligation to let somebody put the stock to you, you're going to be doing an opening sale. An opening sale. All the following can happen to an option contract except. I think a good way to remember what can happen to an option contract is T. T. The option contract can be traded. The option contract can be exercised. The option contract can expire. No, break even doesn't happen to the option contract. Break even is what happens to a player, somebody who is actually playing the game. So the option contract can be traded. What that means is if you did an opening transaction, you can do a closing transaction. You can offset. At expiration, if the contract has intrinsic value, it will be exercised. Was that good news or bad news? Well, that depends. What side of the contract you're on and how much premium was paid or received. But, if at expiration the contract has intrinsic value, the contract's in the money. For a call, that means the market price is above, right? So if it's an Apple 150 call and Apple's somewhere north of that, call up as a good memory aid, the contract will be exercised. If it's an Apple put, good memory aid, put down. If it's a 150 put and Apple's less than 150, it will be exercised. And if there's no intrinsic value at expiration, the contract will expire worthless. And again, that could be good news or bad news depending on what you've done. If you bought the option contract, that's the worst case scenario. You lose your premium. And if you're short the contract, that's your best case scenario. You get to keep it. The answer is D. By the way, when you're pausing and playing, if you send me a question, please look at the bottom right. There's a slide number. This is slide 4. Excuse me. I got Steve. Oh, I'm allergic to options, I guess. Anyways, if you tell me it's slide 4, give me a timestamp so I know what you're looking at if you're sending me a question. Which of the following can be used to protect? Now, when you hear the word protect, you know that you're going to buy an option. For protection, you're going to buy, and for income, you're going to sell. You know, the other word we use for protection is hedge. Hedge means offset risk. You know, if you look around a mansion, you see a big, tall hedge that keeps good things in and bad things out. So if I have a stock position, what I'd like to have to protect that stock position is a choice to sell. So, you know, buying a put is a choice, or I use choice, but some people use right, RIGHT. So if I had a choice to sell the stock at the strike price, I would have a floor there and I wouldn't be participating in any loss below that. So when I buy a put, I protected that stock position. Again, this isn't an option lecture. This is some practice questions for you. Again, the most important thing from this exercise that I'm trying to accomplish with you is get you comfortable with those answer sets. Remember, 2 types of contracts, calls and puts. You can either buy them or sell them. So we have 4 basic option positions. Which of the following would be used to eliminate or reduce a short position? So eliminate or reduce, I know it's going to be one of these. Again, I'm trying to get you comfortable with this answer set. And it depends on what I'm trying to offset. So, you know, what I'm going to do here to reduce my short position is I'm going to do a closing purchase. You know, contracts exist outside the securities industry. And if I'm contractually obliged as a professional athlete to perform on the contract, one thing I can do is go to the owner and say, I'd like to buy back my contract. You know, I originally wrote the contract, sold the contract to you, and I'd like to buy it back. You know, if I, as a professional athlete, did an opening sale of my contract for $10 million, and I can buy back my contract for $2 million, I made $8 million by selling high and buying low, right? Same thing with a casino. The casino does an opening sale. They sell you the chips. And then when you go home, they do a closing purchase, and they're hoping you have less chips when you come back. Again, I'm trying to get you comfortable with the answer sets. You know, this exercise is more about answer sets than it is actually the question. But which of the following is true of settlement of index option contracts? All option contracts are T+1. And then it says the exercise. And an index option, you should definitely know that both the contract and the exercise settle T+1. You should also know that they settle in cash. What that means is you don't have to deliver the index. You deliver whatever the intrinsic value or the amount the contract is in the money. Again, that's a testable distinction between equity option contracts. Equity option contracts settle T+1. Resulting exercise is T+2, and you actually have to deliver either money or the stock. What I mean by that is if you're short the call, you got to deliver the stock. And if you're short the put, you got to deliver cash equal to the aggregate exercise price. Now, in the SIE, you're only going to get 3 or 4 option questions. I got about 30 here, so total overkill. And then, you know, 3 hours of video options lectures to watch, which, you know, again, editorial, you might want to make an editorial choice about it if you want to spend that much time on options for the SIE to make your mark. I would suggest that if you're going on to a Series 7 is the next leg in your testing journey, any effort you put in on the SIE to go in depth in that study effort and execute it will pay huge dividends when you get to the 7, because SIE 3 or 4, mostly recognition. That's why I didn't do any math in these practice questions. I told you, I've shown you the math other places. But that being said, once you go on the SIE to the 7, it's going to be 20 plus option contracts and advanced option strategies. So, you know, make sure you give thought to what your study plan is executing. You know, I always joke with people, I come into your life for a reason and a season. The reason is to help you pass your exams. The season is how long it takes you to matriculate through those exams. So on your SIE, you know, I always feel good to help you out on this first leg of your testing journey. But give thought to the next leg And the effort you're putting in now in terms of dividends will pay later on. Okay, so that was C. Which of the following can be used? Now, when we hear protect, remember the other word for that is hedge. And whenever we're protecting, we're going to buy an option. And so if I'm short the stock, I sell stock I don't own. What I'm afraid is it's going to go up. I'm always hedging with the opposite market expectation. What I mean by that is hedging isn't about what if I'm right. Hedging is about what if I'm wrong. You probably heard that term before. Don't sell that person short. They may surprise you. So without the hedge, the short stock position subjects me to unlimited risk. You know, Daniel Drew, legendary Wall Street speculator, said those that sell what isn't his'n must eventually buy it back or go to prison. So what I'm going to do here is borrow the stock from my brokerage firm. You know, they have customers who have perhaps signed the loan consent form. And whether I want to borrow money or securities, I need a margin account. And then what I'm going to do is establish the choice to buy back the borrowed stock at a set price anytime between now and some future date again. And again, I'm hoping that you recognize that buying a call is a choice to buy the stock, which is the offset. And again, the point of this exercise, I'm just trying to get you more comfortable with answer sets that you're going to encounter on your SIE exam. You know, people say, well, what are the questions on the exam? I said, well, I'm not as comfortable saying I know questions on the exam. I'm a little more comfortable saying, I think these are some of the answer sets I think you would encounter on your SIE. There are two types of option contracts. So again, I think a lot of people get hung up. They think there's a zillion types of option contracts. Not true. There are calls and puts. That's it. The two types of option contracts are calls and puts. Now, remember, you can buy them or sell them. And so that means we have four basic option positions. So D is option positions, not contracts. You can either go long or short. The two types of contracts are calls and puts. Again, I use a matrix. Again, this isn't a lecture, but make sure you watch that first video that I'm going to link to. I'll link to it before the timestamps, and I'll also link to it in the pinned comment. Which of the following positions is a choice? So when we hear the word right or choice, it's kind of like learning a foreign language. You know, the other words we might use is, as we do here, long, you know, buyer, owner, holder. There's just a lot of words that mean the same thing. I joke, you go into Starbucks, say, I want to go long a vente. So a choice to sell the stock. And again, what I'm trying to get you comfortable with is the answer set. There are two types of contracts, calls and puts. You can either buy them or sell them. Oh, look at that. Dean's just giving this one more look here. And let's reset. A choice to sell the stock. I'm the putter. Now, listen, I'm already going to get a bunch of people call me up or send me an email. Oh, Dean, you were wrong on that. And I said, no, please continue to play on. You'll see I corrected it. All right. So it's long, and it's a choice to sell or put the stock. And so that's going to be a long put. All right. Fix that one. Which of the following is an obligation? So we hear the word obligation. We say, okay, well, it's an obligation. I'm a potential victim, right? And we're going to be looking for the word short or seller or writer. All those mean the same thing, potential victim. I have an obligation to buy. So in the previous one, let's just go back. I was the putter. I had a right or choice to sell the stock. And if we're going to have putters, we got to have put-ees. And so if I'm short the put, I'm obligated to buy the stock. If I didn't want to do that, I shouldn't have collected the premium. Again, what I'm trying to get you comfortable with is the answer set. That is the most important answer set on the SIE. We have two types of contracts, calls and puts. You can either go long or short. We have four basic option positions. Which of the following is bearish? So again, I would have a general understanding of bearish and bullish in terms of the market. So when I buy a call, a choice to buy the stock, I'm bullish. Bulls attack horns up. When I sell a call, I have an obligation to sell the stock, and selling the stock is bearish. Buying a put is a choice or right to sell. That too is bearish. And selling a put is an obligation to buy the stock. So let me get a different color thing here. So this is buy the stock. This is sell the stock in terms of exercise. And again, if it sounds like I'm speaking a foreign language, that means you should go back and lay the base knowledge by doing your watching your video, doing your reading, and then before you come to this, right? This is a choice to sell the stock. And ultimately, right? So now once it says this, again, let me get a different color here. Once it says that I am bearish, I know that it's either going to be this or this. And I would tell you, don't be a dumb bear. A dumb bear is a bear that agrees to sell stock they don't own. The answer is this, right? This is called a naked call. You say, well, Dean, what if they had the stock? Well, they had the stock. We wouldn't be having this discussion. Don't bring extra stuff into the question. So you need to be able to, on your SIE, to contrast a naked call where you agree to sell stock you don't own and a covered call where you agree to sell stock you do own. That's an entirely different proposition. So anyways, I would definitely know of these four answer set. Again, it's getting comfortable with this answer set. The only option position that subjects you to unlimited risk is selling a call on stock you do not own, a naked or uncovered call. The rest of them you can lose, in the put, it's to the zero, but it's definable. Okay, again, I'm trying to get you comfortable with these answer sets. It's more about the answer sets in this exercise than it is the actual answers. And here it just says what's true of settlement of option contracts. So, if you're buying the option contract, we're going to debit or take the money out of your account on T+1. And if you're selling the option contract, we'll credit or put the money into your account from the option transaction if you did an opening sale on T+1. So all option contracts settle T+1. Now, remember, this is a practice drilling rehearsing on options. But remember, you also should know that corporate and municipal securities are T+2, and treasury securities like option contracts are T+1. Which long would be used to eliminate or reduce a long position. So, I'm either long a call and long a put. And now what I want to do is trade or offset. That's one of many things I can do with my option. I can trade or offset. And so if I did a opening position, that means I'm going to do a closing position. And it says I'm going to eliminate or reduce a long position. So again, I like my casino analogy, right? I go to the cage and I do my opening sale. I buy my opening purchase, I buy chips. And then when I'm ready to go home, I do what's called a closing sale. And what I'm hoping is I can sell the option contract for more than I originally paid. I'm hoping to buy the option contract low and sell the option contract high. And again, the main point of the exercise, I'm just trying to get you comfortable with these answer sets. D. By the way, you don't have to trade if you don't want to. Remember, you can exercise if you choose to. You can hold on to the end and see whether it expires or gets exercised. All the following can represent the underlying interest of an option contract except. So what I'm trying to get in here is I want you to be aware of on the SIE that there are option contracts on equity securities. So you can use option contracts to speculate on stocks, equities, or hedge stock positions. I also wanted you to have a general understanding in this question. You could also use index options to speculate or hedge. I didn't really care about my C and D choice. The main point here is I just want you to be able on your SIE to distinguish between these two types of contracts. So to make this practice question, I just threw in the C, which is true. And the US dollar, there are no option contracts on the US dollar. So the answer here is D as in dog or donkey. And again, it's not really my D choice that I want you to hold on to. What I'm trying to illustrate in the question is we have options on equities and we have options on indexes. Which of the following has limited risk and unlimited reward? Boy, that sounds bueno. I say, hey, how as little as several $100s would you like to control thousands of dollars worth of stock? Wow. That sounds pretty good. How with limited risk would you like unlimited reward? And that's buying a call, right? If I establish the choice to buy the Apple at 150 for 8, my break even is 158. And I have to be right about three things. I have to be right that Apple goes up. I'm bullish. I need to be right about how far. I'm saying at least 8 points. And I'm saying all this is going to take place between now and expiration. There's a finite supply, potential infinite demand. And so the answer is A. A. By the way, the put, if I buy a put, I have limited risk, but I don't have it a put. When I buy that, unlimited reward. The best case, the stock goes to zero. Again, you should be able to distinguish between the two styles of exercise. And you should definitely know that American style options, which are what equity options are, can be exercised at any time. And that is very testable to know the distinction between American style that can be exercised at any time and European style, right? Which of the following orders is used to establish or add to? So again, we know we're using an opening. You know, on the order ticket, there's 4 boxes when you guys get in the industry. You know, you got to tell us, are you a new player or are you an old player? So you're going to check at least 2 boxes. Opening, for example, this is going to be opening. And then it says I'm adding to a long position. So it's going to be an opening purchase is what we use to establish or add to a long position. You know, my casino analogy, right? If I bought $1,000 worth of chips, I can go back and buy some more. So, you know, if I bought 5 Apple contracts, I can do another opening purchase and buy 5 more for a total of 10 option contracts. So it looks like I got a typo in the slide. You know, oh well. What best describes options expiry? This is very much a test question. You know, angels weep for you if you miss this one. You know, options expire on the 3rd Friday of the expiry month at 11:59 Eastern time. You know, as distractors, I put in A, that's when they cease trading. B, when you need to tell your broker to exercise, but you know, don't really, because your broker will automatically exercise for you if you're long and in the money, it has intrinsic value. That's in your option agreement. But C is the question. I would very much, you know, I don't know if you want to consider taking notes, but I have a thing I call a poor man's flashcard where, you know, you just want to write down the question and the right answers on some of these recognition questions like this one. Who is the issuer and guarantor of option contracts? So you say, Dean, when I buy an Apple call contract, I buy an Apple 150 option call contract. When I exercise at 150, how do I know that the guy who's short the option contract is going to deliver 100 shares of Apple at 150? I said, that's a really good question. I said, hey, does he know that you're going to deliver the $15,000 to pay for the option? No, what you're asking me about is what's called contraparty risk. Now, between the two parties in an option contract sits, test question, the options clearing corporation. The options clearing corporation is the issuer and guarantor of all option contracts, meaning the players can play with confidence because they don't have to worry about whether somebody's going to flake. They don't have to worry about whether if I'm long a put and I stick it to you, you're going to be able to pay for the stock. Or, you know, if you're short, you don't have to worry about, you know, in the call that I'm going to deliver the money. Or if you're short the put, that I'm going to deliver the stock. So you don't have contraparty risk. We definitely know that as an SIE test taker. So, you know, we said that I've tried to give you as many of these kind of recognition performance opportunities where I just think it's an aim and shoot point and click question. And when you miss aim and shoot point and click questions on your SIE exam, oh my goodness, angels weep for you. Angels weep for you. Which of the following is a choice or right to buy the stock at the strike price? And that's going to be a long call. Again, we have 2 types of contracts, calls and puts. You can either buy them or sell them. As you can see, I keep trying to practice, drill, and rehearse you on getting comfortable with these answer sets. Again, this exercise is more about the answer sets than it is the actual questions. Which of the following is bearish and has limited risk? We said, well, if you're going to be a bear, be a smart bear. And a smart bear is going to buy a put, because one of the great things about buying options, if you buy an option contract and you're wrong, you just lose your premium. So that sounds bad, but that's actually pretty bueno, right? So, you know, as being a bear, you say, okay, well, if I buy a put, I establish a choice to sell and I'm wrong, the stock is the strike price or higher, the put expires, I lose my premium. That's smarter than doing shorting the stock or selling a call, doing something that is foolish. So that's why buying puts is a pretty good idea as a bear, smart bear. Again, it's more about the answer sets. Now, here I'm asking you about equity option contracts being exercised regular way settlement. So if I exercise my Apple call contract, that means I'm going to buy 100 shares of Apple. So this isn't asking about when the option contract settles, which is T+1. It's asking if we exercise, that's going to be a stock trade, and that's going to be T+2. And again, what I'm trying to get you comfortable with in this exercise are these answer sets. Well, I think the last time we encountered this, it was American style. And we said the other style that you're held accountable for is European style. So, if you're short an option contract and it's American style, one of the risks you have if you're short is the person can call the stock away from you anytime or put the stock to you at any time. But if you're short an European style option, then you don't have the worry as somebody who's short that they're going to make you perform any kind of time. The holder can only make you perform on the expiration date. At that point, you might have a problem if the contract's in the money or has intrinsic value. But you definitely should be able to distinguish between American style and European style on your SIE exam. The answer to this is B, European style. Which of the following can be used to generate additional income? So we said for protection, we're going to buy. And for income, we're going to sell. And this sounds pretty bueno. I said, how would you like to agree to sell high stock you just bought low? How would you like to agree to sell high stock you just bought low? If you buy the Apple at 150 and sell the 160 call, you say, well, Dean, I thought selling or shorting an Apple 160 call had unlimited risk. I go, well, only if you're naked or uncovered. If you have the stock, it's not going to be a problem. This is called a covered call. And we do covered calls to generate additional income in terms of suitability. I would definitely know that a covered call does not have unlimited risk. It has limited risk because you actually have the stock. So the risk is not the option contract, it's the risk that your stock goes. So make sure you know that naked uncovered calls have unlimited risk and covered calls have limited risk. So make sure you can contrast those as an SIE test taker. Again, here in these performance opportunities, these practice questions, we're not doing any of the calculations of gains and losses and all that kind of stuff for the matrix. And again, I'll pen in the comments in the video description to the timestamps, the video you should watch. And then, we have, other practice questions as well. A delivery of the OCC disclosure document should be made. So this is called the characteristics and risks of options. No good news in this thing. It's all bad news, right? So I give it to you before the account approval. I'm going to go back and talk to my registered option principal. And my registered option principal is going to say, did you give them the OCC disclosure document? I say, yes, I did. So then I get your account approved. And then I call you. I say, hey, good news. I was able to get you approved. And then we can do our first trade. Now, once your account is approved, this is the right answer to a different question. So I call you and say, hey, I have to give you this disclosure document. I'm going to go back and try and get your account approved. This is B as in boy is the right answer. But once it's approved, then I have to get back from you the option agreement that you read and understood it within 15 days. So as a test taker, just make sure that you're answering the question you're being asked and not the question you thought was there. So, one of my mantras is RTFQ and RTFA. Make sure you read the full question and make sure you read the full answer set being offered to you, right? So, I want to make sure you're answering the question. By the way, in this answer set, this practice I've given you, almost every answer set I've given you distractors. Distractors are the technical name for wrong answers that in different circumstances could have been right answers, right? So that's one of the challenging aspects of the exam. Which of the following is true of the settlement of equity option contracts? So that's T+1. And the exercise of an equity option contract, that is T+2. So again, the point of this exercise is getting you comfortable with answer sets. All of these are right answers to different questions, right? If I just asked you about option contracts, period, full stop, T+1. If I just asked you about exercise of equity option contracts, period, full stop, T+2. Here I'm asking about both. The option agreement should be returned Very much a test question. Now D becomes the right answer, right? So I say, listen, I need back that agreement. Now, if you're late with that, I think on the SIE, it's just mainly recognition, but for your own edification, if you're late, then I'm only going to let you do offsetting or closing transactions. So what that means, if you did an opening sale on that contract, I'll let you do a closing purchase. If you did an opening purchase, I'll let you do a closing sale. I'll let you get rid of the stuff you got, but I won't let you implement any new strategy. That's to give you a reason to do that. Now, a good way to remember this, you might want to use a memory aid, is DATO 15. And the D is for the disclosure document. I give you the disclosure document. I get your account approved. That's the A. We do the first trade. That's the T. And then we get back the option agreement. That's the O within 15 days. Which of the following, if exercised, would result in buying the stock? So buying the stock. So this is a choice to buy the stock, and this is an obligation to buy the stock. So it's either this one or this one. Buy the stock at a higher price than the current market price. No, if you buy a call and you exercise your Apple 150 call, Apple's somewhere north of 150. So it's not this one. You know, if you get exercise on Apple 150 put, that means Apple is somewhere below 150. I wanted to give you a couple on these selling a put or short a put, because that's the puts contracts. I don't know if it makes you feel any better, are the ones that people usually get jammed up on or struggle on. All right. Well, maybe I should have called this Dirty 30 questions in 30 minutes. We've been doing our 60-minute versions of this. I hope you found this helpful. We do premieres when we do them. If it's worthy of a premiere, I put that on the Thursday nights, 5:30 Las Vegas time. If it's not worthy of a premiere, and that's just something I make up, you know, whether I think it's there, I'll probably put this as a 30-minute premiere Thursday. If you know you're watching it, it means it's gone into the playlist as a regular video. But I do run a live chat during premieres, and so you can come to the chat and ask any questions about any exam. It doesn't have to be the SIE. You could be on year 7. I know why you'd be listening to this if that's the case, but we're there for you. So remember, inch by inch, the SIE is a cinch. Yard by yard, SIE is hard. And I'll see you for the next installment. Next time I teach the SIE, there'll be some new content going up. Bye-bye.